Welcome back to the Michael Experiment. Now I have another commission here, and this is for rare Nintendo DS games. And first up is Fighting Fantasy, which was a game that was made by Asper and Big Blue Bubble on iOS. So Asper on the DS. Big Blue Bubble is the developer, though. And this is a game, it's a first-person game, and a player controls the character in adventure in a combination of combat and puzzle game elements. The player typically has to navigate the character through a long series of tests, trials, and mazes to reach goals. The end goal is to reach the evil warlock in his mountain fortress. So that's a pretty cool game. So yeah, this has the manual and everything. These are all pretty rare that we're going to be showing here today. There's like one common. Well, I wouldn't even call it common. There's a couple uncommons. But most of these DS games are rare. You can see there's a little bit of a ding there on the manual. Just note for if you're going to buy it in the auction. A lot of these DS games have dinged manuals, and there's just nothing to be done about it because of the way they're stored. Unless you were to store the manuals in a plastic bag separate from the cases, that's going to happen to them. Next up is a game called Contact from Atlas. Well, it's not really from Atlas. It was actually from Grasshopper Manufacturer, which is a company that makes the No More Heroes franchise, which is surprising to me, but kind of an interesting title. I think you can kind of see the style of Suda 51 here. You can definitely see the style when you look at this instruction book. It's definitely his kind of fingerprint is on that. Not literally, but conceptually, I mean. Here's the manual. You see, it kind of looks like a Studio 51 design there. And more Studio 51. But pretty cool. This is a pretty rare game. Again, this selection of games is fairly rare. Here's all the inserts. Pretty much everything is in here. And it's in pretty good shape. Again, with these manuals, you'll see some dings and some bends. And that's just, with DS manuals, it's just how it goes. Because of those hinges, and they just barely fit. So like when you close it, sometimes the box like crinkles it, so that's pretty much why those are like that. Next up is one called Knights of the Nightmare. Sorry, Knights in the Nightmare, not Knights of the Nightmare. But yes, this is another game published by Atlas. And this is a strategy shooter role-playing game hybrid developed by Sting Entertainment. The game is divided into 3 separate screens: the setup, which consists of the player preparing for the battle, the tactics screen, which shows a preview of the scenario, and the actual battle. Except otherwise noted, this game is fully controlled by the Nintendo DS touchscreen throughout all these areas, so kind of a hard game to emulate, which also adds to its value. At its core, the general gameplay mostly resembles a turn-based strategy role-playing game, but it also extensively uses elements from several other genres such as real-time strategy and bullet hell. So, kind of a unique game. I can see why people would be wanting to track this down. And you can see here the manual is in really good shape. This one is in impeccable shape. There is actually not a lot of DS case dings here. It wasn't, I don't think the manual was used too much or looked at. There's a slight ding there in the corner. But overall, I grade this high as far as a condition. Really only have a couple of books in here, instruction books that are not quite as in good condition. Now, next up is Chrono Trigger. This is an RPG that dates back to the 90s on the Super Nintendo. And it is a fantastic game if you've never played it. I wouldn't call this a rare game. There's just a lot of demand for it. This is an uncommon, probably. Like I said, I wouldn't classify Chrono Trigger as a rare DS game, but it's uncommon. There is a lot of these out there sealed and stuff though, so it's going to set you back a pretty penny sealed, but you can get stuff, you can get these factory sealed still because there was a lot of old stock that was found. That does drag the value down some, but it is still quite valuable. As you can see, the back looks, there's that little bit of a crease there, and it's got the registration card as well. But again, these books were highly taken care of. You got to make sure it's in there good. And that's what I mean. If you don't put the book back in exactly right, that's when those creases and dings happen. This is The World Ends With You, or Twee Woo. This game was re-released for the Nintendo Switch in a terrible version of the game. This is a much better version. No offense to any Twiwoo fans out there, but the Switch version I heard, and I didn't play it, but I heard it was not very easy to control, which led me to not buy it. You can see I'm showing the serial numbers on each of these DS carts as well, so you know they're legitimate. That's another thing that this purpose of this video is to show you the legitimacy of everything. And we've got the reg card and the inserts. This one isn't not have any dings at all. This thing is perfect. So again, these are going to be premium priced. The link to this auction where these are all available will be in the description below. Please be patient as I add the listings. They're not all added yet. That's where they will be added. I'm not posting the individual games just because if something sells, I don't want people to get, oh, it's sold. You're just, whatever's in the shop is what's still available. This is Silda Robo, an X-Seed game. This is probably the rarest of what's here, just because it's complete in box for one, and it contains the sealed OST as well. So not only do you get the game, you get the sealed original soundtrack. Yeah, it's Silda Robo OST. And here is the game itself. Good condition. Everything is looking good. Label looks good on all these. No labeling issues at all. If anything, the only issues on these are with dinged boxes or creased, slightly creased or bent manual. I mean, these are things that, unless your game is sealed in your DS game, unless the original owner stored them in a plastic bag or something, they're typically going to have some kind of ding if they were ever taken out once. This one doesn't really have much, though. There's not like a lot of creasing. I don't see a bend or a fold in here. So again, this is in really good condition. This is the most expensive of the lot. Price is around $400. So this one, and that is because it includes the sealed soundtrack. I'm not pricing out everything, but if I have like an idea of the price, I'll let you know. Now this game is a Shin Megami Tensei spin-off game called Strange Journey. And it's a spin-off in the Shin Megami Tensei series, which forms the core of the Megami Tensei franchise. It was released in Japan in 2009, North America 2010. The story on this one follows a special task force sent by the UN to investigate the Schwarzwelt, a spatial distortion that appears in Antarctica and threatens to engulf the world. So, interesting storyline. I love Shin Megami Tensei, so, definitely, this is a pretty rare one too. So it's got the insert and the manual. As you can see, there's a slight crease in that lower right-hand corner. That's just the crease of doom on a lot of DS games. It's just kind of to be expected. Even a brand new game can have that crease if it was loaded wrong at the factory. So there's not a lot of it to be done there. This game is Rune Factory 3, which is by Natsume. Before that was before the Harvest Moon sell-off. But this is a good game too. It's available on Switch, which does hurt its value a little bit. But does not mean that there is still not a demand for collectors. As you can see, the serial number there is legit. There you go. Legit cartridges, of course. These are from a personal collection, so everything here is super legit and super... Now, see, it's got that big crease, unfortunately, but all the inserts are here. So that's probably the worst condition as far as, like, the instruction manuals go. And even then, it's not that bad. So, reg card is in there, all that good stuff, everything you need. I'm careful putting it back in here just to, we don't want to make this worse. There we go. Just tuck it just a little bit. Yeah, we don't want that to be damaged further. Now, next up, we've got Nostalgia. Now, I admit I don't know much about this. It's by Matrix Software and Tecmo in Japan and Ignition Entertainment in the US. Release date was November 6th, 2008 in Japan, October 23, 2009 in North America. Now, this game is a alternate reality steampunk version of the 19th century. The game follows Eddie, a London boy and son of a great adventurer, as he and his friends travel the world in an airship in search of his missing father. The game features turn-based combat and aerial battles between the player's customizable airship, the Maverick, and enemy airships. So, it's a traditional role-playing video game with three-dimensional characters and environments. So most of these are RPGs. This one is pretty rare too. Definitely on that list I would call as rare versus uncommon. You can see here a little bit of like warping. That's also common because of the way that they're put into the box. That's not damage. That's just it living in the box pretty much. If it's a thicker manual like that, you know, because of the way these boxes are made, they're not the best for preserving condition. You'd really have to store the manuals outside of the box, as I mentioned. Now, Dementium II, this game is crazy. One, this thing is worth over $200 if you can believe it. It's just a kind of a rare game. It was developed by Renegade Kid and published by South Peak Games. So it's a survival horror first-person shooter developed by Renegade Kid, published by South Peak Games. It's the sequel to 2007's Dementium: The Ward, and it came out in a remastered version for Windows, and Mac OS. So you can probably get it on Steam, which is interesting. But it did not degrade the value here. You can see there's the serial number there. Now, the person that I took this from said they really enjoyed this game, so it's quite possibly a really good game. Never played it. As you can see, the condition here is excellent on the manual too, which is awesome. So definitely a high value, high condition item. So next up here, we've got Radiant Historia. And the seller here definitely liked Atlas because this is another Atlas title. And I know there's a lot of Atlas collectors out there. And for good reason. These are great games. This one was a role-playing game that was co-developed by Atlas and Headlock. It released in Japan in 2010 and North America in 2011. There was an expanded remake for the Nintendo 3DS, which does hurt the value a little bit. And the game is set on Venequer, a continent divided between the warring nations of Alistel and Granarg. Alistel's soldier Stalk has chosen to wield the White Chronicle, a tome capable of navigating multiple timelines, so he may prevent Venequer's desertification. Man, there's some big words in this description. See high quality label here. There's the serial number right there. Perfect. It's in good condition. Kind of was just checking the sides out. Looks good. That one was a little hard to get out of the case. So I wanted to make sure there wasn't any damage from previous people taking it out. Here is the book. This one has that dreaded corner there, of course. Pretty common, but, you know, again, unless you took it out and put it in a plastic bag separate from the box, it probably is going to have those corners. And you notice the slot for a GBA game. I always thought that was cool. If you want to make a purchase on any of these, the link is in the description below. Have a great day.